Wow. Quake Beast, did you do that?
Oh, I didn't do that. We live in California.
Hello everyone and welcome to the recent review. Today we're going to be taking a look at set number 71315, Quake Beast. The set contains approximately 102 pieces, was released in the spring to summer of 2016, and during time of release was approximately $15. Before I get into the review, let me get my disclaimer out of the way. Just because there are pros and cons in this video doesn't necessarily mean they are my personal opinion. I do my best to keep these videos as objective as possible, and as such, all comments made during them are either community opinions or objective facts about the set I can represent on camera. So please, unless I explicitly say so, do not assume that anything here is my personal opinion. Okay? Alright. Also, a special thanks to our moderator, Political Slime, for not only purchasing the sets for me, but sending them up to me as quickly as possible. I paid him for it, and I greatly appreciate it. Thanks, Slime. Now let's get into the review. So, this is actually a little bit more of a controversial set in the community. Some have even gone as far as to say he is the Qatar of this wave, which, personally speaking, I don't agree with. However, many do. So let's get into the set. First of all, new pieces. We can see here we don't actually have a whole lot of new pieces. We do have the new crystal piece. It's a shell piece, and this time it is in transparent dark purple. Shout out to you, Jang Bricks. And we do get 3 of these. Additionally, we have the new jaw piece in gunmetal, and aside from the shadow trap components, it's the only gunmetal piece on him. And finally, we have the new beast mask, and this is in actually solid purple and transparent green, and it looks kind of like bark, kind of like flowing energy, I don't know, looks like a lot of different things. As far as recolors are concerned, there aren't actually that many. There are only 2 as far as I'm aware of. First of all, the Mask of Earth. Now, this is generally unchanged from Onua's default mask, except for the back being blended instead of silver into a transparent green, and you can see the melding actually is quite strong here. The other one is the Toa head, the standard head we got in 2015. It is new in transparent lime completely. And real quick while I'm at it, let me go ahead and throw this mask up on Onua, so there you have it. Now onto the actual build of the set. Let's quickly look over the function here. As we can see, it is a gearbox, and it is built somewhat like a gearbox. However, the difference is it's on its side. Now, this is very unique. It hasn't been utilized in this way before. However, unfortunately, it's actually really loose. There's not a whole lot of friction, and while you can turn this in order to make the arm go forward and backward, kind of like one of the creatures like Melum, it doesn't have a whole lot of friction because it's a very heavy arm, and as such, it will flop around if you try and move it. Posing is still possible. It's got enough friction to where it won't flip out, and it has that ball joint so that you can move the arm and pose it how you would like. However, one of the issues this ends up creating is that it now has a shoulder that is above another. It's a very uneven look. Additionally, there is a very large gap here, so you can see the inner construction. It's very difficult to get the arm to actually cover that up without that looking awkward. Speaking of the asymmetry, one arm is a giant crystal. It looks like crystal is basically growing out of the arm, and this is kind of reinforced by the chest print, which seems to suggest that crystal is just growing out of his skin, however just on one side. And visually, yeah, that does seem to be correlated. However, a large issue that people have is with the asymmetry. It's somewhat nonsensical. We have a Borak eye in light green on one leg is black, and there is more black on one side. On the other, we don't have any sort of a Borak eye, which you would assume we would since there's crystal growing on that side. We have a transparent shell piece, and we also have this large, completely different, higher up and much longer arm. So aesthetically, it's a lot different. Moving upward, we also have these weird blade pieces. Now, these are the same ones from Pohatu and Qatar. There's no difference there, and a lot of people don't like that melding because it makes the green look much darker and look kinda pukey. The interesting thing with these is that they move with the arm. You cannot move them on your own. So if you want them going somewhere else, well, too bad. They're static and in place. And they also look somewhat awkward. A lot of people do not like their placement. They don't like that they exist whatsoever. They kind of just hang over the head, and while they don't clash with anything necessarily, they aren't very aesthetically in line with the rest of the set. so not many people are sure why they're there. Something that people do like is this left hand. The claw is actually really nice, it's a decent build, and it works as advertised. So there's not a whole lot wrong with the arm, it's somewhat basic, but people do not mind considering the other one. Additionally, on this side we have a shadow trap, so if you would like, you can take the mask of Earth, you can stick it in there, and it will just stay there. So it's a nice way to keep the mask from floating away and just kind of sticking around with the set. However, right next to that, we have another issue that people have with the set. First of all, the gunmetal jaw piece, which does not move unless you want to take the mask off. Not a lot of people like that it's just really static, there's a lot of gaps there, and people don't like that it's a different color. Additionally, speaking of color, the mask piece, because it's not a transparent purple and it's a solid purple, it's not only a lot brighter, but is completely inconsistent with everything else on the set. It doesn't look like it belongs there whatsoever, and it should have either been a darker color, or they should have had more solid purple, because it's the only piece of that color on this set. One final thing about color, while people do enjoy the chest print, some are not happy that it's a completely different shade of pink and purple than anything else on the set as well. So we have a lot of different shades here, and while that's more hidden, it's still there. One thing that people do enjoy would be the function on his right arm. You can see there's this little thing here, these Borak eyes, and you can spin that, and it will spin just fine. However, some don't understand why it's there. It could have just as easily been left out. Something that people do like to do is cover up that whole huge gap area by clumping up the arm, kind of making it flex a little bit and getting it all close together, which makes it look like it's a giant pile of crystals, which does to a degree seem to help the aesthetic look of the set. Balance-wise, the set is fine. People do seem to enjoy the actual build of the legs. They're a little bit shorter than, say, Storm Beasts, however, they are custom and they're quite interesting to look at. Granted, there are the red axles, and there's really not a whole lot of red on this set, so some people find that that does stick out. So that actually generally sums up the set. All in all, while I personally don't think it's the Qatar of the wave, it still has the standard points of articulation, a function that actually does work to a degree, two functions actually, and new pieces. It does have quite a lot of flaws, and general public opinion of it is not very high. There are a lot of issues with the set. The gear function doesn't have a whole lot of friction because the arm is too heavy. Some of the functions seem kinda unusual, like they don't need to be there. The asymmetry does also bug a lot of people because it's kinda tasteless in a lot of people's eyes. We have blade pieces in a place where they don't necessarily need to be. There's a large gap in the construction, so it doesn't look entirely finished, and it's a very uneven set, with body parts being placed higher than others, and it's just somewhat cobbled together. As far as our TTV personal recommendation is concerned, we advise that you avoid this set. You don't really need to pick it up. If you're a collector and you're going to get all the sets anyway, you will end up getting this set. However, if you're on a budget and you want to get some other sets more, we do recommend that you do that instead of getting this guy, because he will just drain your budget and you may not be entirely satisfied with him. However, to each their own. Some people do like this set, and they're perfectly entitled to like it and have fun with it. So that has been the recent review of Quake Beast. What do you guys think? Do you like the set? You think the set isn't all that great? Feel free to let us know either in the comments below or on the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.